I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, help and guide us to make the best possible decisions we can make for the citizens and City of Boonville. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. We will now have a public hearing for the annexation of 17120 Jackson Road and associated tracts.
Okay. The City of Boonville received a voluntary annexation petition and zoning application from Kim and Eric Brady, known as Ballpark Central. It was to annex 20.18, and then there's an additional 11-acre tract. In order for us to evaluate whether this is a reasonable annexation, there's a series of steps that are described in case law, and Brad is going to go through those and describe why it may or may not be reasonable and relative to for the annexation.
Thank you, Kate. As she'd indicated, the original petition was for a 28.18 tract of land, but then there was an additional request for an additional 11 acres, more or less. Both of those matters were brought before Planning and Zoning, including the contingency on the potential 11 acres on May 13th. So they were all addressed by Planning and Zoning. So what we're here tonight to discuss basically some legal implications, how we address Missouri case law and whether or not this is best for City of Boonville. So Missouri law describes several factors to be determined, to be examined to determine whether or not this is, I'm going to say, necessary and reasonable. So those are the two big cruxes that we're going to look at. Boonville has a need for residential, commercial, and recreational sites within the area proposed to be annexed. In the past couple of years, there have been several new residential developments starting in the community, but yet the growth of commercial developments has been somewhat limited. The addition of this acreage provides new buildable lots for commercial ventures. As currently planned and with Planning and Zoning's approval, this area will also be the intended home of a baseball complex that will build bring recreational commercial areas into the city. The property is a flat, developable land in the city, which that type of land is somewhat limited in the city limits currently. And a multi-field complex would positively impact the local economy by creating opportunities for existing restaurants and hotels and the possibility for new ones. Continuing on with need or necessity, Boonville is currently unable to address the need above without annexing new ground. The location of the annexed area is well suited to the proposed development since it is relatively flat, easily developable, and could be within our community city limits. The location is centrally located in Boonville, close to many existing amenities, and that will make it desirable for things as it's intended to be, which is sports tourism, sales tax revenue, whatnot, all in contiguous city limits. Boonville's need has a reasonable, foreseeable use. This proposed annexation has a foreseeable use. This is not a visionary use. We hope that this is going to work out. This is a foreseeable benefit by annexing this property in. The proposed annexation positions itself near Interstate 70 off of a major thoroughfare and has a strategic location, making it a desirable location for something like a baseball complex. Given the steady increase in youth sports, travel teams, there's a real opportunity for sports tourism to develop in the city limits. Given Boonville's past growth, this annexation shows future necessity. Increased housing developments that I mentioned earlier, past annexation show the commercial growth and sports tourism are needed or necessary for the continued growth of Boonville. Moving on, there's a spillover benefit to the city. With the extension of municipal infrastructure in the area, there's a spillover benefit to the current businesses and residents in the city by attracting quality developments in the area to support the current local economy, watch the local economy develop, and provide additional employment opportunities. I want to move on to what I'm going to call the beneficial effect of the annexation. Uniform application and enforcement of municipal zoning ordinances. As you're well aware, if this annexed property comes within the city limits, it's going to be under the guidance of our planning and zoning, our building codes, and our regulations. There's a beneficial effect for us having this property within the city limits so that we can regulate, properly guide building code enforcement. If it's not, it's in the county, different building codes to no building codes. There's a huge beneficial effect for having this under the protection of the umbrella of our building codes. Beneficial effect and the need for uniform application and enforcement of municipal plumbing, electrical codes, building codes. Even within the building code itself, there are standard codes for electrical installation, plumbing, whatnot. Again, a huge beneficial effect for having the city of Boonville and its codes be implemented in this property. Beneficial effect for extending city public safety, police, fire, animal control to the newly annexed area, and beneficial effect in the need for uniform application of our municipal health ordinances, particularly sewer. So there's a huge beneficial effect with having this property within the city limits versus having it right next to Boonville city limits and out of our control. Lastly, just a few more. Boonville's need and ability to extend essential municipal services to the annexed area, we're already right there. We've got Main Street, we have Sonia Drive, we have, starting down where we can go Jackson Road, we have the access to expand our municipal services to this area that would then be contiguous and inside city limits. One of the elephants in the room is the enhancement of land value. Bringing this extra 30 acres more or less into the city limits allows the value of not just this property but adjacent properties to continue to increase in the future. I think that annexation of this property is going to allow for future improved infrastructure around this area. This is when we're going to talk about the foreseeable use, the continued development opportunity on a major thoroughfare coming into town where it's located. And then lastly, it improves the regularities of Boonville's boundaries. We have Sonia Drive, we have Main Street, we have Logan's Lake Road right there. We get to encapsulate this within our city limits, expand our footprint, add 30 acres into the city limits of Boonville. Those were just kind of some pointers as far as ways to look at need, necessity, reasonableness for a public hearing for annexation. So I'm open to any questions. I had a couple other things I wanted to touch on the ordinance itself, but that's basically what I would encourage the council to discuss or ask questions about, is necessity, reasonableness.
Council?
I got one. Is this the land where the earth moving equipment is right now?
Yes.
So it's flat?
Flat-ish, flatter than a lot of land we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like you're getting ready to move a lot of dirt, which is good. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if applicants want to build ball fields out there, they're going to be moving some dirt to make it.
Okay. Between the fields and Sonia or whichever road it is there, there's still gonna be room in there to build some houses or not?
You're talking about on the north end?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's still going to be some undeveloped ground. I mean, and at this point right now, what we're looking to assess is the annexation itself,
Right.
not the development of the ball fields or any other part of the annexed ground.
Right.
Because obviously, if we get past this part with the annexation, applicants have to go through P&Z, have a development plan, then we're going to have to come back, and then that's when we assess city code implementation, water runoff. That's all going to go through P&Z.
But there still is possibility for residential in that area.
At the end of the day, there's a possibility for a lot of things.
Good deal.
The issue before us is primarily is annexing this ground with its potential use better or not for the city. And my personal opinion, looking at it from a legal standpoint, is if we have an opportunity to add 30 acres
It's good.
of infill in the city limits,
That's real good.
because they're still gonna have to jump through our codes to
Sure.
comply with any development that happens, so.
Brad, I think I may have asked it before. I don't know if we were prepared to answer it. Do we know kind of what the implications are for roadways, drainage, anything like that?
That's
Have we anticipated?
the devil is
That's the
the
next
devil's in the
step.
details in P&Z. One of the things that was discussed, during the first reading, during discussion was, how far down do we go on Jackson Road? What's the city willing to do going down Jackson Road as far as allowing for proper ingress and egress? How are those costs potentially going to be shared with the developer? And that's where we really sit
That's
down with
next.
P and Z, yeah.
Yeah.
And the developer, the engineers have already begun working on the runoff and the drainage. Those things.
The fact
We've
that
seen
they
their
wanna,
preliminary
the
plan.
fact they wanna work with the city is what's a sell for me. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, there was a bunch of fields burning down there, and everybody's complaining about it because the smoke's going over the city, but it wasn't city property. I mean, they're wanting to develop all of this and wanting to take that development and run it through the city and the P and Z, and to basically do the steps the right way, putting it into the city for help and or guidance. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer to me. The fact that they're wanting to work with this is awesome.
I mean, I think to build on what Si just said, if they wanted to build a ball diamond or ball diamonds out there right now,
You could in the county.
They could.
without- yeah.
Good.
so the trade-off is come to the city, help us with curb and gutter, help us with municipal services, help us with the infrastructural development getting to and from. And then at the end of the day, if they wanted to do it on their own, they could. They would have an opportunity to bring them in where we can regulate the codes and whatnot, so, yeah.
Positives are pretty clear. Are there negatives? I mean, cost or to the city? Are there anything we need to think about in that
The
regard?
biggest additional cost to the city currently is that I've not talked to the county about Jackson Road. So if we wanted to, which is fine, we could leave it in the county, but if we wanted to go ahead and extend that, what kind of is our Jackson Road currently ends right kind of at the MU place, a little further down where our lift station is right there, but I think it's about another 150 to 200 feet. So if we wanted to do that at some point in time, we would want to pave, and we would have to deal with some drainage issues that are off of Jackson Road kind of with that. That would be, I don't have an estimate for you, but that's really the only expense that we would incur.
Okay.
And as measure, I think a lot of that's, again, gonna come out in planning and zoning. I mean, if planning and zoning decides that they wanna have, if they wanna have a study done, a traffic study done, can ask for it and actually look at what real numbers are gonna be affected. And then it's gonna be difficult for us to balance on our costs for infrastructural development, curb, gutter, water, versus, sales tax revenue over 10 years.
Yep.
And where that balances out, so,
And to be clear, we're just approving annexation.
yeah, this is
At this
just
point.
annexation.
This is good. This is good stuff. Thank you.
We've also, just so you know, at the behest of the Boonville Community Development Corporation, coordinated with Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission, they actually already put counters on Jackson Road, and then once they're developed, we're gonna put them back out. So we are gonna have some numbers.
Those counters are gonna count a lot of vehicles.
If you drive them down Jackson Road 100 times, we'll know.
I'm one of them.
I'm on it.
I come up and down there often.
Just make sure you ask if there's public comment too.
Public comment, anybody out there wanna say anything? Woo! Sounds like we're pretty much in favor. Thank you, Brad.
Close it.
What else we need to do?
Now, you just close the public hearing.
I officially close the public hearing. Thank you for everybody's participation, I appreciate it. Call to order of our meeting. Steve's already taken care of business. Roll call.
Young,
Here.
Meadows,
Here.
Cowherd,
Here.
Harville,
Here.
Albert,
Here.
Venable,
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Bechtel.
Here.
All right, thank you. Hearing of citizens' comments. Anybody like to get up and speechify? Okay, we will pass that. Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Any suggestions or changes or corrections? They will stand as submitted. Consent items. This is the one I should be working off of, right? Consider pay app number 7 in the amount of $9,243.21 to Clovecon for City Hall renovations. Any questions?
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve this consent item.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any conversation? Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Coward.
Yes.
Harville.
Yes.
Elbert.
Yes.
Venable.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Bechtel.
Yes.
Presentation of the accounts and claims. Page 11, I think.
Okay, please note that each council person has an amended ordinance appropriating money attached to your seats. Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the City of Boonville, which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof on June 16, 2025, the sum of $698,795.25. General Fund, $286,566.16. Sanitation, $44,387.81. CIP tax, $14,913.28. Waterworks, $38,232.78. Capital projects, $39,483.79. Wastewater, $71,755.02. Tourism, $13,251.67. Gaming, $141,992.32. Parks and Water, $20,712.42. Kemper sales tax, $27,500 even. Economic development projects, $0.00. Section 2. The accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $698,795.25, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3. This ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on June 16, 2025. Read for the second time this June 16, 2025, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Mayor, second reading title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, I move that we approve this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Cowherd.
Yes.
Harville.
Yes.
Elbert.
Yes.
Venable.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Bechtel.
Yes.
Okay, item 7, unfinished business. Second reading of bill number 2025-009, approving annexation of Ballpark Central at 17120 Jackson Road and associated tracts.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, annexing certain contiguous territory owned by Kim Brady located at 17120 Jackson Road and associated tracts, Cooper County, Missouri, into the City of Boonville, Missouri, zoning the property as CP, Commercial District, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Motion?
We don't need, we're
No,
doing a third
not
reading.
yet.
Yep.
Okay. Item 8, new business. First reading of bill number 2025-010, approving a final plat of a minor subdivision at 913 Santa Fe Trail.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving the final plat of a minor subdivision of property 913 Santa Fe Trail in the City of Boonville, Cooper County, Missouri.
Sorry about that. I got delayed turning the page. Item B, first reading of bill number 2025-011, authorizing and approving a rezoning of 911 Kemper Drive from R3 to CP.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving the rezoning application for Precision Built LLC located at 911 Kemper Drive from R3 to CP, authorizing amendment of city's zoning ordinance, Appendix C, and the zoning district's map, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Okay, item C, first reading of bill number 2025-012, approving a preliminary site plan for 98 Investments LLC.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving the preliminary site plan for 98 Investments LLC located at 17120 Jackson Road, Boonville, Cooper County, Missouri, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Item D, first reading of bill number 2025-013, adopting a procedure for considering redevelopment plan and tax abatement or exemption pursuant to Chapter 353 of the revised statutes of Missouri.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, adopting a procedure for considering redevelopment plans and tax abatement or exemption pursuant to Chapter 353 of the revised statutes of Missouri.
Item 9, reports of standing committees. Planning and zoning, Si?
Yeah, we had a pretty fun-filled day.
Want to speed up a little bit? Speak
Said,
up.
yeah, we had a pretty fun-filled day last Tuesday. We had 3 things we discussed. All 3 things are on the first readings today. It was planning and zoning's opinion that all 3 things should pass. I've got them outlined, but we had a final, minor subdivision at 913 Santa Fe Trail, which is basically splitting a lot in half. It's currently zoned residential. They just want to be able to build additional housing there for an initial house. Next thing was the 911 Kemper Drive from an R3 to a CP. I believe it was previously a CP. And they switched to an R3, now they're wanting to change it back, so really not that big of a change. And that's the property right behind Dollar General. Then the third thing was the site plan for 98 Investments. It's the front building going into the development that they're doing with the fields. I've got the layout of it and everything. I don't know if it was in our package or not, but it's definitely a preliminary type layout. It looks pretty good. It's all facing right off of the road with 2 entrances. It is planning and zoning's opinion that we do approve that building and that part of the development. So that's all I've got.
Do we need to set a public hearing for the 9/11?
What's that?
Do we need to set a public hearing for the 9/11 Kemper Street?
I don't,
Yes.
we do?
Yeah.
Even though it's going back?
Yes.
Weird. Okay. Yes, she's right.
I thought you were gonna finish with the motion.
As always.
Mayor, back on bill, the abatement 25-013. I'm confused, it could be an error, could just be my brain. It says that it was read and passed the 16th of June.
Oh, sorry, yep. We missed that.
Okay,
We'll change it.
all right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good catch. Okay.
We just need a motion for the public hearing on July 7th at 7 PM.
I'd like to make a motion that we have a public hearing July 7th regarding, 9/11
Yeah.
Kemper Street.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Got a
will
second?
that. I'll second.
All right,
Man, I fell.
roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Cowherd.
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Bechtel.
Yes.
Item B, fire board meeting.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. A man not to let grass grow under his feet, Chief Cooper, in the 45 days he's been here, called to order the fire board on June 12th. I was out of town in San Diego, but he conducted the meeting. 3 of our 5 open seats were present, Mr. Howard, Mr. Hilden, and Mr. Taft, along with Chief Cooper. Absent, we have 2 open expired seats. We have not met in approximately 2 years, so I'm very glad and thankful that you pulled that together. No old business was on the roster. Chief Cooper walked our committee members through, or our board members through, a number of actions he's taken place since he started. I've visited the firehouse, and a lot of these are very unique. A lot of them are for efficiency, for function, and also for public safety. He has walked through a lot of this. Some of the notes are obviously in your packet, but I'll touch on a couple that I thought were pretty unique. The addition of training recording, You're recording actual training for individual firemen or fire people in the house. He's also changed, he walked me through the hiring process, which I thought was pretty good. An excellent change in the way that they're doing this. They're panelizing the way they hire to make it more of an objective process, adding a physical and a written test to the process and the interview. I'll let him touch on some of the details as he is going to update all of us toward the end of the evening. He has also worked on rotating engines to have one frontline truck, having a second in reserve, making sure that there is always failover in the process that he's using. Ordered new helmets, did quite a bit of detail. I'll let him talk about the engine that he is looking at and positioning for the actual fire department. But overall, I appreciate it. He and I will work together to look at getting our other 2 spots filled, so we do have a full fire board, and moving ahead with the rest of the progress that he has kind of covered. But I will let him actually go into detail on some of the stuff that he is talking here in a moment.
Come on up, Chief.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
It's good to see you. Good to see you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks to the mayor and the council for letting me speak on this proposed new fire truck. When I came to town, one of the things that was brought to my attention early on was that we needed a new fire truck really bad. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about the way that we currently run our calls. Just pulled up here. The way we currently run our calls and what I would like to do moving forward. Evidently, this is
We have to hold our breath.
yeah, absolutely. So we've looked at several different fire trucks since I've been here. We had a demo model come by the station. Tanner was there to view it, as well as Kate. It's just a demo model. It wasn't specifically designed for any fire department in mind. The way to order fire trucks nowadays is to custom build one that fits your department needs. The timeline for those typical builds are anywhere from 2 to 4 years. When you custom order a fire truck, you're looking at close to $1 million, a little over $1 million for custom built fire trucks. This demo model that came through was listed at $830,000. So Kate and I discussed a few things, and I told her that, I'm not opposed at looking for a good used fire truck that will fit our needs going forward. So let's talk about the way we currently respond to calls in Boonville, all right? So when a call comes in from dispatch, they set off the pagers in the fire station. They dispatch these guys to an address and a type of call. So they have to decide which type of apparatus that they're going to respond to for this particular call. Whether it's an EMS call, whether it's a fire, or whether it's something that involves a ladder truck. They have to make a decision on what apparatus they're going to respond to on this fire. All right, so when they come in the morning, they get their gear off the rack, their helmet, their coat, their pants, their portable radio, their SCBA mask, and they set it in the engine bay. All right, when that call comes in, those guys make the decision on what apparatus they're going to respond in. They have to then take and move their gear to that particular piece of equipment that they're going to go on the call in. So all this time, it takes time to move all of that gear to that particular apparatus. And as we all know, time is of the essence when somebody is having an emergency. So they respond on this call. Say they pick the rescue truck to respond on this call. They're going on an EMS call. While they're out on this call, a second call comes in. It's a fire across town. So these guys are across town in a rescue truck, and they receive a call for a fire. What do? Well, they have a couple options. They either respond back to the station, switch units, take off all their gear, put it on the fire truck, and then go to the call, or we depend on our volunteers to come in and respond in a fire truck. And we all know during the middle of the day, most volunteers have their own job that they're working. So this isn't really a dependable option, in my opinion. They could be out on a rescue call. We have a fire across town. Somebody's trapped in a burning building or whatever. Every second counts in this type of incident. So I've pretty much mentioned what our problems are with the current model. And last month we had 3 back-to-back calls. So the crews were out, just arrived on scene, a second call comes in. And then just shortly after that, a third call comes in. So the guys are running more calls than what they have in the past. They're busy. So there's a lot going on. We're having to depend on our volunteers to come in and take these calls for us. So this is something we'd like to minimize at some point in time. So what I would like to propose and what I would like to do requires a newer fire truck. All right, I would like for our crews to respond to every type of call in one unit. And to do that, we have to have a truck that will hold just about everything we need to mitigate any sort of emergency, whether it be an EMS call, an auto extrication call, a fire, a technical type of rescue. We need to have something where these guys are out on another call comes in, they're able to immediately respond without any delay in time. So some of the issues, you probably ask, why can't we do this now? So with our current truck, our current fire truck, we have very limited space, all right? We can't hardly store the equipment, the basic equipment that we need just to fight a fire, basically. The current truck is no longer NFPA compliant. We have limited hose storage. We can only store 500 feet of supply line. That's the hose that we hook to a hydrant and then drive to the fire. Very limited area for storage for the hose. There's no room for EMS equipment, auto extrication equipment, rescue type of equipment. So the current fire truck that we have is a 92 model. It was built by a company called Towers, who's no longer in operation. When we do need specialized parts for it, we can't just call Towers up and say, hey, we need this part. A lot of times we're having to have parts manufactured by local welders or things like that. It creates a problem there. So when I talk about NFPA compliant, we're talking about structural integrity. Old truck versus new trucks, they're built to withstand rollovers. They have airbags in them for the driver and the officer. The old truck does not have any airbags, doesn't have any shoulder belts in it. It has lap belts, but no shoulder belts. Does not have reflective striping on the rear. You're out on the highway late at night, you pull up on one of our old trucks, there's no reflective striping on the rear, and very limited emergency lighting on the rear of that truck. I talked about the compartment space. The old truck, we do not have the ability for onboard charging. So the newer trucks, you can plug them in. You have what they call a drop cord. You plug it in. It keeps your battery level charged. It also keeps the air level for your air brakes fully charged, so it's ready to go. Typically, firefighters like to have, their thermal imaging camera, their flashlights, their portable radios charging in the truck. We can't currently do that. We have to charge things inside the station, And then when we get a call, we have to grab them and take them to the truck. So here again, you know, we're taking time out of our response time. So just a few pictures of our old fire truck. That's the tag listing the manufacture date. Now granted, this truck is in really good shape for its age, but it just no longer meets our needs, as you'll see when we go through the picture. There again, no reflective striping, very limited warning signals on the back of the truck. You can see there the officer's seat, very limited seat belts, obviously no airbags. This is the way the crews board the truck, is through that back door there. Most of our compartment space that we do have available is taken up by our SCBA, which you see right there. Old diesel generator. There's a lot of silence in here.
It's riveting, man.
Yeah. All right. So the new truck that I'm proposing is a 2014 Spartan Gladiator pumper. It has 13,565 miles. It has 152 hours on the pump and 541 engine hours. Now you ask, is 541 hours a lot? Most people consider 50,000 hours on a Cummins diesel engine to be high hours.
What's on the old truck?
What's on the old truck?
Hours.
Hour-wise?
Yeah.
I do not know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I would say that it's not very many. Thank you for the question, though. I will go back and check, that's for sure. So when I was looking around for trucks, when we decided to start looking for a used truck, I went to a particular website that I'm familiar with. St. Charles has actually sold some of their trucks to this provider. This particular truck had been listed on the website for 15 minutes, so it hadn't been on there very long. But I called the salesman and I asked him what the story was. You know, why are they selling a 10-year truck that only has 13,000 miles on it? And the truck comes from a volunteer fire department from Long Island, New York. So there's a lot of volunteer departments, and each volunteer department covers like 1 or 2 square miles. They have good tax revenue, but they don't respond to very many calls. And they're on a 10-year engine replacement plan. So every 10 years they replace their fire truck, whether they need it or not. So he went on to tell me that when they get one of these trucks, which is very rare, they sell like hotcakes. So with me reaching out to him, it put it on a 10-day hold for Boonville. So nobody else can talk about it, can try and buy it. And that gives the person that has interest time to actually look at the truck. So it has a hydraulic driven generator, no combustion fuel generator. It has a 1500 GPM pump, 1500 gallons per minute. The old truck has a 1250, so improved pump capacity there. It has automatic tire change, so in the wintertime, you just hit a button and it drops chains down under the tires. So they rotate as you drive. It's kind of an interesting feature. So it has seating for 8. It has 7 SCBA seats, and what that means is the air pack that the guys wear on their backs will actually mount into seats. So it gets them out of the outside compartments inside the truck itself. Improved scene lighting all the way around, large amounts of storage. It also comes with an extrication set of tools that are valued between $30,000 and $50,000. And I know that we have fairly new extrication equipment on our rescue truck. These are what they call a high pressure set. So the current ones that we have are battery operated. They're very nice. You don't have to deal with hydraulic cords. The only issue that you have with them is, you know, the life of the battery, and they're not rated. They're not able to spread metal apart at a higher pressure like these are. So if you're talking numbers, these tools have the ability to spread 175,000 pounds. So you just try and imagine that. The battery operated ones are rated right around 147,000. It's always good to have a backup set, and I've been on scenes where you need more than one set. So that is a feature that does come with the truck at no extra cost. So you ask, how much is this truck? It's the question everybody's waiting for, right? So $425,000 is the price of the truck. It comes with a 1-year major expense warranty. Repairs must be more than $3,000, and they cap the repairs at $12,000. So that's all they will give you for a warranty. We already talked about the new demo truck. So we'll get into some pictures. So here's a picture of it. As you notice, it's very similar to our ladder truck as far as the color scheme. They will letter it to match the ladder truck at no additional charge. So it will look pretty much like what we currently have with our new ladder truck. As you go through the pictures, you'll see the amount of storage that is available with this truck.
Does it fit?
Yes, sir, it'll fit. Yep. So the old truck is, let's see, 27 feet long. This one is 32. So it's a little bit longer, but it definitely will fit. So here's, now the equipment does not come with it, unfortunately, other than the extrication equipment. But this gives you an idea of what we can store on the truck.
What do we do with our truck?
Well, we can either sell it or donate.
What?
We don't need to collect more.
Is that one of these, or do we actually get to sell?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not opposed to trying to sell it. I ask about trading it in, and of course, we all know what happens when you try and trade something in. But this company does not accept trade-ins 10 years older than what you're trying to purchase.
Right.
They will broker it for you, and you know, you might have a question in your mind, well, how much can we get for it? I'm guessing here, but I think we could probably sell it for $15,000 to $20,000. You know, there's departments out there that need a truck like that. But
We've also donated to smaller
I was gonna say,
volunteer, like Bunston, Pilot
Is there any use
Grove.
locally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be the way to go.
If there's a local use for it,
Can't even sell it
Preferably
for
in
the
the
cost
county.
of an
Yeah.
employee.
That's a good idea.
so the rest of what I had is just more pictures. You kind of get an idea of the tool storage. Now, what I do find helpful is that all of the mounting equipment comes with the truck. So if you look at how your axe and the Halligan bar is mounted there, all of those mounts stay with the truck. So that saves a lot of time and effort when you're putting together a newer truck. You basically just take your tools and mount them on the truck.
And this does fit in our current building.
Yes, sir, it does. Yep.
Chief Cooper, what is the safety standard for replacement of an engine? Ours is obviously 33 years old. What is considered industry standard?
NFPA recommends replacing every 10 years. It's a recommendation.
Yep.
But, you know, there's new standards that come out within a 10-year period that departments need to think about following. You know, NFPA is a guideline. You know, Brad could talk more on NFPA guidelines and how they relate to a city or fire department. You know, if you have some sort of incident where your department did not follow NFPA, you know, I assume that could be used against you in court.
They wanted to push that, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, NFPA is a good guideline for, they have all kinds of standards for just about everything, but they recommend replacing every 10 years.
And how many calls does the department respond to a year?
So we respond to a little over 1,200 calls a year currently. That's a pretty good increase, you know, in the last 5 years. But you look at our current response model that we're doing, you know, we're responding to calls in the rescue truck. You know, that might have worked well 5 years ago, but things are changing and, you know, we need to change along with it. Responding to everything is in one vehicle is a nationwide standard. Every department is doing that, you know. I've seen and have actually done, you know, almost a $2 million ladder truck responding to help pick up grandma in the bathroom. You know, that's just the way things are done now. It's a national standard. And, you know, the reasoning that I talked about is the reason why they do it that way.
So this particular truck is a 14.
That's correct.
Which makes it 11. So
Right.
we talked about the 10-year mark. Do you see any issues with buying a truck at this age? Or do we need to potentially look a little newer for longer longevity?
Well, you bring up some good points. One of the reasons that I went and looked at this truck was, you know, I wanted to see it in person. You know, I drove it. I filled the tank with water. I drove it about 15, 20 miles. I crawled underneath it. You know, it did have a small oil leak. But I created a list for the salesman of things that if we was to purchase the truck that would need to be repaired. Do I think this truck could last us another 10 years? Probably. I would probably look to maybe use this truck another 5 years in frontline service and then rotate it as a reserve. Because our reserve truck is going to be the same pretty much as what we currently have now. So whenever you buy a new fire truck, you know, everything you buy at some point in time either needs maintenance or breaks down. So you need to have something to switch into that's very similar to what you have now. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it kind of pushes it pushes it down the road a little bit when you start thinking about spending $1.2 million or $1 million on a new fire truck. Maybe we're a little more prepared 5 years down the road, you know, than we are now. And with the build time that it takes to build, you know, a custom fire truck, being 2 to 4 years, you know, it's something you definitely have to plan way advance, and we're way behind right now.
Is 13,000 miles considered low for an engine?
Yeah, it's considered very low. You know, most of your diesel engine vehicles, as you know, you can get a lot of mileage out of them. But, you know, fire trucks are a little different. You know, they're run hard, fast, they're stop fast. You know, you don't give them time to warm up. 13,000 is still considered way low for a fire apparatus. Yeah.
I just want to chime in that I think if you guys were interested in proceeding with this truck, we can pay cash for it and own it outright. There is probably zero chance of us buying $1 million truck and paying cash for it. So we would have to finance it, and we're still under finance on the ladder truck for another 2 years. So Tim and I talked this morning. I had kind of thought that maybe we would pay off, just go ahead and buy down that loan and pay that truck off. There's $222,000. Just also as a point of comparison for you guys to remember. For people around the table, we bought the ladder truck, a 101-foot ladder truck, we paid $625,000. So half the price of a new truck that looks like this. So
Yeah, a new pumper truck.
yeah, new pumper truck. So just gird your loins when we have to buy a new ladder truck.
Do we have a fixed interest rate on the?
We do, but my point was, in talking with the coming of this truck, I've kind of held off because frankly, our interest rate was so good. When we bought that truck, it's 3.25%.
Yeah.
Today would be much higher. I'm more inclined to just use our cash and buy this one outright and go ahead and pay off the last 2 years, which is an $80,000 pay per year.
Is that just cash from general fund, or is that part of capital projects? Where is that?
It would come from general fund and probably from CIP.
CIP?
You wouldn't see any changes to current projects like we would?
No.
Okay, because I feel like we were all kind of committed to the whole infrastructure and, okay.
Yeah, and the infrastructure projects are primarily coming exclusively out of water and sewer. So there's no change to what would happen now that we have planned for this year. And since most of this would be coming out of a reserve, I mean, it's really just, you know.
What's the timeline for response on, I know you said it locked up for 10 days?
Yeah, so I called him today, the salesman, and asked him that very question because it's something I didn't ask when I was there. And he says typically 90 to 120 days. He said, but with the condition of this truck, it would probably be sooner than that. You know, once we sign an agreement, they pull it into the shop. They go over the list of things that I found with the truck. They do a complete pump certification test on it. They go over from top to bottom, and, you know, they buff out the paint, they letter it. Basically, it comes to us looking brand new. So it, you know, it takes a little bit of time, but it is a lot better than 2 to 4 years for a truck.
So you're looking at 6-8 weeks,
Maybe, you never know.
Yeah.
But
month and a half, 2 months.
yeah, it'll be just a short minute, but
How would we utilize that rescue truck? I know we bought that, I don't remember how many years ago, to kind of run some of these errands that were, or calls that were not fire related.
so, you know, we also have an old rescue truck in the fire station that we have breathing air compressor on that we can fill our SCBA bottles on scene. So what I would like to do is transfer that over to the rescue truck. But I would also like to keep it somewhat like it is now. Because if this truck breaks down for, you know, a short period of time and needs some repairs, we're gonna have to go back into this rescue truck and our backup engine. It would be different if we had 2 trucks similar to what I'm proposing. We wouldn't really need that as much then. You know, we just move everything over that we have on the new truck to our backup truck, that if it was similar built. But we kind of have to keep that rescue truck kind of the same as it is now, just so we can switch into it if that does happen. But there would be room to move that breathing air equipment over and kind of keep it the same way as it is now. And then, you know, I would like to see that truck go to a good home as well. But it's, you know, the guys at the fire department have taken really good care of what they have. It's evident in the pictures. But, you know, everything that we have is very well taken care of. But we're definitely going to have to get rid of a few things and find them new homes. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
One more question on the process of acquisition, if we choose to go down that path, what does that look like? Do we sign a letter of intent with them and then
So
we get a final sign off?
I have a sales agreement that he sent with me. We would have to have, you know, the council and the appropriate signatures on it and send it back to them. Then we'd be under a sales agreement. They could start the process If I remember correctly, they give us 7 days after we sign that sales agreement to either pay the truck in full or pay half down payment. I'd have to touch base with him again to get those particulars, but we're on a timeline for sure before they release the truck for general sale. But so, did that answer your question?
I believe so.
Is there a motion?
Sure. I will move that we approve the budget to purchase the engine.
Okay.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Do we need anything special?
Most likely what we'll do is, I think we'll take this motion, but at the next meeting, we'll bring forth a formal resolution, approving the purchase.
Okay.
So I think we can kind of give the down payment and give our holding spot, but, we need to have it in a formal resolution that has been pre-posted and open for.
Public
So
viewing.
we kiss the approval tonight, and then we hug the approval at the next
Yeah,
meeting.
I think your motion is to, proceed with the sale
Yes.
Does that
and
work,
lock it
Brandon?
in,
Yeah.
and then we'll formalize it the next one.
Yeah, I agree that we definitely need a resolution before the council where it's public,
Okay.
so that general public is aware of the.
Well, that's why I asked you. Good. Good, thank
We
you.
can vote on the resolution to move forward with the purchase.
All right. Do we need to secure this with a deposit or anything?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay,
I think we
did they
should.
tell us how much?
Half of what the asking price is. Yeah,
That's a deposit?
that's a deposit, yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, wow.
Do you believe that considering our timeline and the fact that we're meeting, we've essentially approved a resolution to move forward with it, would they be willing to negotiate with us on the timeline for approval of appropriation?
It's very possible.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question.
I'll make contact with him after the meeting, just, I'm sure he's waiting for a phone call.
Okay.
But I will ask that specific question and nail down exactly what we need to do to secure the truck. I'm sure that having the council agree on this, for the first reading or whatever, will push us further down the road with a sales agreement with them.
Okay, we got a motion, and we got a second?
We do.
Okay. All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
No.
Davis,
Yes.
Bechtel,
Yes?
I don't have to break a tie, do I? No. Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Nice
guys.
work. Reports of city officials. I have nothing special this evening. City administrator?
Okay, well, and less exciting news. Jeff Ditto and I are officially announcing, of course, things will come out that, up until now, if you have raked your leaves, you can put them in a plastic bag and we pick them up. But it's very time consuming. We can't put the plastic bags in the yard waste. That defeats the purpose of the yard waste pile. So we're moving to a requirement that whether you are bringing your leaves or whatever loose debris you have, or you're leaving on the curb, that you have to buy those compostable, they're paper bags. I did look, you can get them at Tractor Supply, they're available at Walmart, they're probably available at Boonville Hardware, I just looked, and we will pass this message along. This is probably the first of maybe several changes coming to the yard waste drop off. It's sort of like it keeps growing, and we're just not sure how long we can sustainably keep letting it grow. So this is one of our first changes, just to make it a little more sustainable, a little easier to deal with. We'll put things out on on KWRT, on Facebook, through the Boonville Daily News, and otherwise, and we'll try to find some pictures of appropriate bags. But I just wanted to announce that now. It'll still be open. We will still pick up every Monday. There's no change. The only change will be if you have them in the plastic bags, we will leave them on your property. So just kind of making our work a little bit easier. So I did want to announce that.
And that's July 6th.
July 6th, so start of a new week.
And having that is a huge asset, but I fully agree with you that they need to leave the plastic bags out of it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it feels like a reasonable
Yeah.
step forward
For sure.
to provide, since they're locally available. Otherwise, I don't have anything else. Obviously, I mentioned the prior pumper truck discussion. If you guys have any questions after the meeting or later this week, you can certainly call Tim or I or both of us, whatever you want to do. We're happy to talk about these. And otherwise, I don't have anything else.
Kate, do we want to discuss that filming that's over here by the old jail? I don't know if it is of
We
importance.
can, we can bring up miscellaneous.
Yeah, I'll bring it up then.
Okay.
City Clerk?
I want to remind the council that the next regular council meeting is going to be scheduled for July 7th, which is 3 weeks from today due to the month of June having 5 Mondays. July 7th.
City Council?
Just very briefly, I will not be at the council meeting on July 7th. That's when we're scheduled for second readings on several of these different issues and a third reading on the Ballpark Central annexation. So to all the council, if you have any questions about legality, procedure, anything, I implore you to get in touch with me beforehand. I'm going to go back through and review everything prior to the July 7 meeting, and I'll submit a memo to be in the packet. But if anyone has any questions before then, please let me know. But we've said several times now, I mean, the proof's in the pudding, going through planning and zoning, so you've got to know my legal position on the matter. But if somebody does want to have some discussion outside of chambers, feel free to contact me.
Good. Good
Going to a
morning.
baseball game.
Thank you. Any miscellaneous?
I got one, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
On the ball fields out there, is something wrong with our ball fields that Mrs. Brady wants to build a ball field out there? I mean, she's gonna have tournaments out there. Why can't Holly Park or Lions Park have tournaments out there?
They do have tournaments. This is just a matter of quantity. So being able to have 4 fields that will be appropriately sized for whatever age groups, because the fences get longer, and or if it's a softball versus baseball, those things. So it's different. Like really, in order to host a tournament here in Boonville, it really takes kind of, they can do, if it's a smaller one, they'll just have it at one field, but sometimes they have to do them both at the Harley and then also at the high school. But even that, you're only having 2 fields. So it's really a matter of size, right? They'll be able to host, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but maybe 70 or 80 teams, 60, 50, I don't know, somewhere in there, more than us, more than we can. Normally, we're talking, we have 15 teams maybe, or 10.
So she's gonna have like 2 ball fields out there?
She's gonna have 6.
6 ball fields
Yes.
out there. So how many ball fields that we have now compared to why we need 6 more ball fields out there?
Again, this is just a different kind of offering. It's more catered to the travel league, and it's more catered to the sports tourism avenue, whereas our fields are really more of a local use field. There is only one turf field. Her fields will be turfed on the infield and grass on the outfield. Right. Okay. And so they're going to be a little bit more all weather. It's kind of like our soccer complex. It's a total different game than like the fields that are at Kemper Park. That's like where the locals play. This is like where you come for a weekend and you play.
Well, we have kids down in Kemper, we have kids out there at Rolling Hills, we have kids out there at Lions Park play ball, and kids out there at Holly Park. How many more ball fields do we need? Because we have tons of soccer fields.
Again, these are ball fields that are bringing people from the outside, but I think it's also important to note that this is their business plan, so this isn't our development, and we discussed when we did soccer fields whether or not we wanted to do baseball fields rather than soccer fields. For a multitude of reasons, we chose to go down the soccer field route, and these guys are wanting to go down as a private business. Their choice and their business enterprise is a sports tourism destination.
So what's the revenue that Boonville will get off of this?
Well, you'll get your sales tax revenue from more people eating, buying gas, stopping at Walmart to buy socks, whatever they need that they forget, those sort of things. And we hope that it will also help drive new hotel development. I think having a second sports tourism destination will hopefully demonstrate that we need another hotel.
So I was assigned to the park board, and not once have we met to discuss any problem with the Holly Park or Lions Park or Rolling Hills Park. You know, now Mrs. Brady is ready to open up a ball field. I would think that there's something that Boonville could do, you know what I mean, in that aspect also.
It's not that there's anything wrong with our existing parks, it's just an entirely different mentality. And again, I guess the point is, this is her business plan, this is her private development. So as a city, we have nothing to do with her business plan, and we're not gonna operate, or, well, they could, but the point is, like Babe Ruth or some of the local leagues will not necessarily be operating in her parks. Those will be used primarily by travel teams.
It's bringing a new business
Okay.
into town. And new traffic, for sure.
I just want to add one thing, because I did forget. In addition to the public hearing for zoning, we'll also have a public hearing for redoing the needs assessment for our CDBG application for the roundabout. So we'll do both of those at the same meeting.
Do I get to vote? All right. Anybody else?
Ward 1 news, they've got a filming that is happening at the old jail on the 19th, I believe, is when they begin. They will be using weapons, blanks, hopefully. But anybody in Ward 1, obviously they're gonna hear it, given the time frame right now. A bunch of people running around in front of the old jail shooting at each other. It's probably something I feel like we should all be aware of and let people know. You may just want to let people know if you're, in our ward
Do
especially.
you know the date?
The 19th,
19th.
yeah.
Okay.
I believe based on the emails, we just happened to get an email that they're going to do it. We obviously have no say in it, I don't think, but just be aware that that's
Tanner,
happening.
what's the background of the filming? Do we know?
It's the Battle of Athens, which is something, I don't really even know what the Battle of
It
Athens
is,
is. but-
I looked it up, and it is, for the folks sitting around this dais right here, it's not a good story. They actually sequestered the city council of Athens, Tennessee into an old jail, or into the council chambers, and forced their hand on public policy.
Is this for a documentary, feature movie? What is the?
It's an independent filming company. I don't really know much about it other than the email that I got.
I think it's a documentary.
Yeah.
That's what the thing said, was documentary,
It's
so.
not like a message, I don't know, and no, it's an out of state, or out of town organization. I'll forward all of you the email that I received, I just happened to receive it. You might have received it too, I don't know, being a Ward 1. But I'll share it with y'all. It's not a lot of detail to it, they don't have like a shooting plan or a timeline, they just start on the 19th. But he did expressly say they were using blanks, so.
It's good.
Good to know. It's right in front of my house, so I don't want to wake up to,
Yeah.
Bring on the tourism.
yeah.
That's a good one. Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second?
Yes.
Stand up and leave.